Hello, brothers and sisters. I'm Father Frank Pavone, National Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to Pro-Life Straight Talk, where we expose the truth about abortion with clarity and courage, no matter what the consequences. Well, friends, I want to invite you to be part of the next chapter of advancing the protection of unborn children throughout the United States of America. And what I mean is a piece of legislation already passed by the House of Representatives and now introduced in the U.S. Senate, called the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act. In fact, it's also been enacted in 10 states. What this does is it protects babies in the womb from abortion from the point of 20 weeks of development forward. Now, let's make it clear right at the outset. We want to end all abortion. We want to protect every baby. But right now, there is the opportunity to protect at least those babies. Why? Because scientific consensus is that they can feel pain, and the abortion procedure dismembers them. And so many legislators on the state and federal level are ready to say, by law, these babies need to be protected. Now, we're going to work on protecting all the rest of them too, but there's not the legislative readiness to do that. So we have to, at each moment, do everything that it's possible to do at that moment. And let me explain to you why this is so urgent. Most people have never seen an abortion procedure. Most people have never even heard one described. But some years ago, I did a YouTube video in which I did describe the dismemberment procedure called D&E for dilation and evacuation. D&E, which takes the baby out of the womb piece by piece. Horrifying. I described that procedure, and it's one of the most watched YouTube videos on our channel, and I invite you to go back and watch it also. But brothers and sisters, when people see the reality of this procedure, it wakes up even people who call themselves pro-choice and continue to call themselves pro-choice, but they say, well, I think there ought to be a limit. Maybe in the first few weeks of pregnancy, they might believe in abortion, but then once we get into 20 weeks and beyond, once we get into big babies, like, for example, the baby that I'm holding, the model I'm holding right now, this law we're talking about would be protecting babies even bigger than this from a procedure that does the following. The abortionist takes an instrument like these, the forceps, and unfortunately the very ones I'm holding were actually used to kill babies in this particular way, goes into the womb, grabs a leg of the baby, twists and pulls it off, and brings it out. Throws it into a tray, goes back in, grabs another leg, twists it, pulls it off, grabs an arm, another arm, torso, and finally the last piece would be the head, which they grab in this particular way, crush the skull, and bring it out, not as a unified whole, but piece by piece. Can I ask you a question? Is there anybody you know that thinks this should be legal? Is there anyone you can think of in your family, among your friends, among your co-workers, who knows about what I just told you and still thinks that should be permitted? You'll probably find it hard to convince a lot of people that it even happens. But in fact it does. The Supreme Court has talked about it. Congress has talked about it. The abortionists themselves talk about it. It's happening. Plenty of proof out there that it's happening. Just check out our website. You'll find more of that proof. Right now, we have the opportunity to start the process, and I emphasize start the process, of making this procedure illegal and protecting these babies once again. Start the process. How do we start the process? The immediate next step is to get a vote about this in the United States Senate. There's already been a vote in the House of Representatives, and it passed. It passed overwhelmingly. In fact, most of the American people agree that this kind of procedure should not be allowed in our great country. Now, what about the Senate? What about the two people from your state who are serving in the United States Senate right now? What do they think about this procedure? It's time to ask them. It's time to force a vote in the U.S. Senate. And when you go to our website, priestforlife.org/legislation, That's priestsforlife.org/legislation. You will see the next step you can take. You'll see a description of the bill. You can read the bill. You'll see the number of the bill. You'll see how to contact your senator's office. In fact, I recommend that you call the local office closest to where you live. Let the local office get the phone call and say, listen, I understand there's a bill introduced to protect babies after 20 weeks of development. Vote for that bill. You don't need to be an expert about the bill. You don't need to be an expert about abortion. You just need to believe what you already believe and just speak up and say, we want to see this happen. My friends, this will take some years to happen. We know right now that we have a president who would never sign this into law. We have to challenge him anyway. We have to challenge those senators. We have to get the ball rolling. We have to call for a vote, because then these senators will be on record. Either they voted for this to continue, or they voted to stop it, or they were too cowardly to cast a vote either way. And going into the 2014 elections, this will be an important question to ask the senators who will be asking you for your vote. As I always say, if a politician can't respect the life of a little baby, how's he supposed to respect yours? Let's elect public servants who know the difference between serving the public and killing the public. Let's stop this form of abortion now, and let's stop all forms of abortion as we work for a culture of life. God bless you.